must understand why the Bible forbids anger. Anger was once recognized as a sin. Now, when I grew up, self-control was socially valuable. Did you ever, I remember teachers writing home letters to my parents. They did that all the time. That's the truth. And the typical letter said, Johnny has a lot of potential, but he never has any self-control. What they didn't understand was I had things to say. And I needed to say them. And it was just too bad the teacher was talking at the same time. They used to say he just has no self-control. Johnny lacks self-control. That was pinned up in our kitchen. They didn't know this was a gift. This was a ministry. But my parents used to spank me because I did not exercise self-control. Self-control was a virtue. You didn't say everything you thought. You didn't vent your venom and your hostility and your anger. By the way, psychologists know how totally self-destructive that psychological theory was, and it's now passé. But that was the hot one when I was a student. Anger is now exalted. I have heard, I'll bet you 50 times, the people have a right to be angry. Have you heard that? They have every right to be angry. What do you mean they have a right to be angry? Anger is a sin. Nobody has a right to be angry. A policeman doesn't have a right to be angry. Criminal doesn't have a right to be angry. Nobody has a right to be angry. The only thing you ever have a right to be angry over is when God is dishonored. Holy wrath. This is a Rambo mentality. I'm angry. That's it. Sound effects surprised you, didn't they? Still a little boy in me, I guess. You don't have a right to be angry. Ephesians 4:31 says, let all bitterness and wrath and anger and evil speaking be put away from you with all evil. James 1:20, the wrath of man works not the righteousness of God. You don't get the righteousness of God out of the wrath of man. Ecclesiastes 7:9 says, anger rests in the bosom of a fool. Anger is just the venting of sinful flesh. Anger destroys, and it even destroys the one who is angry. Anger is always related to another thing, so it's anger/hate. Hate is intolerable. There is no place for anger. There is no place for hatred. None. You say, well, what about my enemy? What about the one who offended me? What about the one who treats me unjustly? What about people who are wreaking havoc in our society? What about them? Shouldn't we be angry? Listen, it says, these are the words of Jesus, Matthew 5:43, you shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy, say the people of your time. But I say to you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, in order that you may be the sons of your Father who's in heaven. What does that mean? That means that when God looks at his enemies, he's concerned about their well-being, and you be the same. Jesus, when he was reviled not back. And when he was slaughtered on a cross, he said, Father, forgive them. They know not what they do. There is no place for anger and hatred. Hatred is an offense to God. Hatred is a wickedness. Any kind of hatred at all directed toward anybody, no matter what they may have done to you, is outside the tolerance of God and is a sin. You do not hate, and there is no justification for anger other than a holy wrath over those who have struck a blow against Almighty God and his majestic Son, Jesus Christ.